Greetings folks, Dan here, and welcome to a very special edition of Kaiju Showcase. Today, as I mentioned, it is a very special video. This is something I've really been in the works in my mind for months now. I've just needed to wait a bit to get everything together, but we're just going to roll right into it. Today, we're going to be looking at every single one of the Gamera Memorial Box toys. So this video is going to be long enough, no history, so wiki it or look at my reviews. I've reviewed all of the entire Gamera show of films, so we're just going to roll right into it. First one is, of course, the man himself, Gamera, or the thing itself. I don't know, gender's not really specified. I imagine it's supposed to be male, but anyway, I'll just go on a tangent or something on that. Anyway, here's Gamera. It was released in 1999 with the whole Memorial Box set. Don't recall the going rate of the box. I want to say it's maybe around $50, $60, you know, maybe 5,000 to 6,000 yen. Could be a little bit more. If somebody knows that, please post it, and I'll gladly annotate it in the video. And as I said, this was the Gamera for it. It's supposed to, I imagine, represent his original appearance in 1965. It's more of a, I don't know, it's got that whole nice black and white feel vibe to it, you know, with the dark, you know, darkish gray blue color with all the gray highlights, and it is a really cool looking toy. It's drastically remolded over his original mold, which I won't show here, but if I ever review it, then you'll see it then. But this one is far superior. Of course, these are all 6-inch toys because apparently they weren't cool enough to get 8-inch figures. But that was during the whole Bandai downsizing time. I'll break out the yardstick as per necessary. A little bit shorter than 6 inches, but right around there, 5.8, give or take, is a little bit slouched, so, you know, whatever. But detail's real good on it, paint's really good, it's got standard articulation, arms, legs, tail, they'll generally all move 360, the head will jostle a little bit, but it's kind of an oddball shape, so you're probably not going to get, you know, much movement out of it. But despite that, very good toy, neat mold. The mold was actually reissued again in 2006 when Gamera the Brave came out, along with the reissue of the G3 Gamera mold, Hyper Gallus, and, you know, Toto. The actual toy for Toto came out at that time too. But there's Gamera for you. We generally all know about him, so we're gonna push him over here. Next, of course, was Gamera's first foe, Barugon. Gamera fought, obviously, Barugon in Gamera vs. Barugon in 1966. This toy is vaguely similar to the original mold. Most of these were based on the original mold, just kind of downsized and the color touched up a bit. But, I mean, truthfully, the quality of the film I seen was kind of iffy. But I think it was always this kind of copperish yellow color, but I can't remember. I have this weird thing where I can't remember colors with a dick. But I think I mentioned another video. But it's nicely painted. You know, the gold on the tannish gold kind of colored paint. It's almost a little bronze, but the eyes are kind of gold. But it's a really nice looking toy. Yardstick, I suppose. We'll just kind of set it right behind him. Of course, all said and done, material-wise, it's going to be a little bit taller, but it's not a bad size for those that are into that. Articulation, you know, arms, or all legs, I apologize. Head, tail doesn't move, but you get the general idea. Still a really neat toy. A welcome addition to the set. Obviously, it would need to be in here, but it's still really cool, and there's not really a whole lot you need to do with it because it's Barugon. So, there you go. Next, of course, is going to be Gamera's antithesis, Gallus. Obviously, I've talked about this toy recently when I reviewed the 8-inch version. Again, I was kind of confused as to why they went with the paint job they went on it. Not like saying like, oh God, that's so dumb, I don't understand. I just couldn't understand why they decided to choose this color scheme. I really like the color scheme because, you know, I enjoy my wacky colors. It almost reminds me of, somebody mentioned it like it's a hybrid between Space Gauss and the standard Gauss even, because, you know, you got the kind of reddish brown color and then the silver from Space Gauss, and I guess the blue is a happy medium. I don't know. But it looks neat. I really like the toy. It's really a great looking toy. It's all based on the original mold with, you know, some slight differences here and there. It's, you know, all these are made of a softer, squishier vinyl. But still, it's a very, very impressive piece. It's actually just right at 6 inches. I mean, that's pretty much like a dead even 6 inches right there. None of these molds actually have ever been reissued except for the Gamera. As I said, aside from the 8-inch it was based upon, in 6-inch format, they did not get reissued. Of course, Gauss here has the pretty much the same as the other one did, just the legs and then the head. You know, well, this head actually doesn't move. I imagine there's a glue seal, but I'm not one to break those. I don't need my toys to necessarily move. I don't do any kind of videos with them aside from these. So yeah, there you have it. I mean, Gauss, sweet color. If you don't like this color, just get the original one. The original is vastly superior for obvious reasons, but it's still truly probably one of the best toys out of the entire box either way. Sorry about that. I had to move the camera a little bit. Virus has got a height thing going on here. And, God, that was a short clip of Virus. I would have used more, but I couldn't find any because the rest of the movie was just crappy stock footage. Anyway, we're here to talk about the toy, not the film. This is, of course, Virus from the 1968 film Gamera vs. Gearus. Virus. From memory, because I don't have the 8-inch version, it is based on the 8-inch mold. Not any drastic changes made here. The color's pretty much about right with the blue, the light sky blue with touches of silver here and there. And I don't know what you can really say. It's Virus, you know. The tentacles move. Woo! Break the bank. No, I don't know. It's just, Virus was never one of my favorites. I mean, I truly did not like the film he was in, and the monster, while a different design, never really appealed to me. But I imagine that the 8-inch is probably a better toy, I'm assuming. I mean, unless you want really squishy or you just want to complete the box. So, there you have it, Virus. Hey, I think I remember seeing this guy not that long ago. Of course, we're going to be taking a look at Geary, something like that. He appeared in the 1965 film Gamera vs. Geary. Obviously, I just got that 8-inch version of him, which is totally awesome. And I'm not breaking him out. And, you know, I recall not doing something. So I'll do Yardstick for him and Virus, because I didn't do it for Virus either. But, you know, it's Geary. It's probably one of the most popular Showa Gamera villains outside of Gallus. It's just so wacky with the head blade and, you know, the little shurikens that shoot out. And I mean, I don't know what else to say. He's pretty cool. I mean, I've seen the review. I'm trying to keep this simple, but the detail's really good. The paint's good. It's pretty much a carbon copy of the 8-inch mold that came before it, just smaller. I mean, they did a good job. I'm glad they didn't change it. I mean, they didn't need to fuck it up and, you know, ruin the detail and, you know, make a whole new mold. I mean, Gamera needed it. He really did need it, because while his old mold is cool because it's, you know, an older toy, it's just a far better representation of the toy. We'll go ahead and break out Hydra here. Boop, 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 boop. Move over Gearon. Gearon's a little bit shorter than Barugon. It's just because it's got blade, not nearly as long because he lacks a tail. Oops, sorry, yeah, that's the wrong one. But here's with Virus again, because I didn't do that earlier. Virus is a bit taller. Virus is probably closer to 8 inches, but just because of his helmet, crown, adornment, whatever. But no, we'll just get you back there. We already talked about you. Gearon's still a really good toy. If you can't afford the 8 inch, because they are genuinely kind of pricey, get the 6. The paint's really good. The green's a little lighter on this than it is on the original, and there are a few details here and there that I like better on the original. But the 6 is still a great, example of said toy. And these are genuinely cheaper than the 8 inch. So I would say if you don't have one, or if you're interested in getting one, get this. Unless you have the money to get an 8, just go for the 8. Or you just want to complete the box like I wanted to. So there you have it. Gear on. Next, of course, is Jagger or Jagger or Monster X, because it goes by a lot of names. This one is, of course, from the 1970 film Gamera versus Jagger, however you want to say it, or Gamera versus Monster X, depending on which region and which name you want to go by for the film. It's a cool representation, pretty much just like the original 8 inch toy. Nice detail with all the circles and everything like that. The tusks, they're all individually painted. It seems that since this was released for a box or a memorial box, that they took a little more time with some of them. Like all the teeth are individually painted and sculpted, and he can bite you, if you so fancy that. But the tongue isn't painted, but I'm not going to complain because it is a 6 inch toy. And really, if you bought the box, like I said, it was probably 5,000 to 6,000 yen. You're only paying 8 to 10 or 800 to 1,000 yen per toy, which you're not going to get the world for. But the detail is really good. The paint might, the little extra details, it doesn't matter. But the paint's real good. I like the kind of two-tone where it's the light brown up here, and then on the bottom it's what it's molded in, kind of that tannish sand color. And all the the horns are painted like an extra glossy cream or whatever. And then the frill here is whatever the sail here is red. So that's cool. I don't have the 8 inch toy here, or we'd show that off. And here you go, boom, with Hydra. Barugon's, of course, probably the biggest quadruped out of the bunch, and probably out of all the quadrupeds, I'd say Barugon's probably the best. But Jagger's going to be a close second. But as much as I like Gearon, but just out of sheer quality out of the three, I think Barugon, Jagger, and then Gearon's going to be the low man on the totem pole. Not saying he's bad, because all the toys are good in here, except for Virus, because you just kind of make fun of him because nobody likes him anyway. Lastly is probably one of the most interesting kaiju out of the bunch is Jagger, or of course he appeared in the 1971 Gamera film Gamera versus Jagger. He is the only one that really got a flat out pretty much entirely different mold than what he originally had. I know the big thing was they changed the feet, because his feet on the 8 inch one were more like flippers rather than feet. It doesn't really matter to me, and they softened this up, I guess, because I think the point on the 8 inch one would have killed somebody. I think somebody probably got murdered with it. That's why they changed it. But if that really happened, yeah, that would be no good. But anyway, still a really nice toy. I really like this one. I didn't really sit here and get a chance to really look at it until I did this review. But it's got that nice paint that really the only redeeming factor I like about Virus is which would apply to him, is the color. I love the light pastel blue with silver, because it blends really well together. Like Virus, if it was far away, you'd have no idea there was silver on it. And Jagger, not as strongly contrasting, because it's not as light as a blue, as light of a blue, but it's still a very nice looking toy. I love the silver with the dark blue. It just works really well. I'm pretty sure, if I recall right, Jagger was primarily silver in the movies. If I'm wrong, my apologies again. I don't remember color very well. But yeah, still a really cool toy. A whole bunch of silver up here, and you got it, you know, on the tops, and then the blue. And if you flip it over, it's more, you know, contrasting, where there's less silver on this side, you know, maybe a little bit on the tail and on the spines. But a really nicely detailed toy. Haven't had much experience with the 8, so I couldn't say which one I'd prefer over the other. I'd probably say the 8 just because it's older and I like the older toys. But this one, I mean, it'd have to be really close, because this is a really nice, very well done toy that hopefully one day I'll sit down and actually just review it by itself. We're, like as I said, we're doing this as a whole, but I'll go ahead and get Hydra. And this is a good use of vinyl, if you ask me, or plastic here. Where some of the other toys, like Virus, is really slender because he's tall, and you know, Gallus is a little bit slender and he's taller. You know, they can only use so much plastic per toy. I like Ziggurar. They seem to use like quite a bit because he's robust, he's big, his fins aren't too, you know, slender. He's a little bit bigger than, you know, robust in most areas than Gauss and Virus, and he's taller too, and that's cool. And I always like bigger toys. I don't care about scaling, of course, but he's a nice big toy. I mean, if there's one to really search for, it's probably gonna be the Gauss and Ziggurar would be the two I'd put my money on for the toys out of the whole box. But there you have it. Probably one of the better ones of the bunch. Well, not really. I can't really say that they're bad, but a really good toy. But anyway, that's Ziggurar for you. And since we got all of the individual toys out of the way, I hope it was not too scattershot. As I said, this is a review I've been working on for a while, and I wanted to, you know, do this whole set. I haven't seen too many, you know, most of the ones I see the camera doing this the whole time. And, you know, no offense to people who review like that, but that's not my taste, personally. I might not script this, but I try to keep it entertaining to some extent, and I allow you to see the toys. But availability, if you want the whole box, good luck. You know, they're here and there, Tokyo auction, but it's not something you're just going to go out and find. God, I've seen more Godzilla Memorial boxes as a whole than I've seen these. But of course, I haven't been in the hobby as long as some other people. But this will be cheaper. I mean, these, you know, 80 to 100 bucks if you got everything with the tag. I don't know if I'd pay that much. I'd probably keep it around 80, 70. I got all the individual toys. I probably have between $60 and $70 in all of these toys. Of course, none of mine are tagged, and you got it originally. They all came with tags and everything. And I wish I had the box, because if somebody had the box, like, I'd love to have it. But I got a feeling somebody'd be like, 50 bucks. I'm like, fuck you. It's a cardboard box. I ain't buying that shit. But I do really want it. It's just I'm not paying out the ass for it. Maybe someday one will turn up somewhere. But anyway, a great box. Great. I mean, really great. I mean, I'd say, like I said, if you can get one for around 80 bucks, as long as everything's in it, tag, do it. Individual figures, I think the most I paid for one was the Gamera. I think I paid 20 for it, maybe. It's really hard to say. I mean, it depends on the availability. I know the Gamera, you know, I've seen it go for expensive and I've seen it go for cheap. And I'd just dumb these down to just average 6-inch toys. I mean, they're Gamera toys. They're not highly sought after. I wouldn't to most people. I think the Gear because it's so similar to the big one, fetches the biggest dollar. So I don't know. I'd say 10 to 25 a toy, preferably less. And that'll depend on condition, tag, and so on and so forth. But there's no way I'd pay more than 20, 25 bucks for one of these toys. But just keep that in mind. I mean, it's up to you. It just depends on the value to you. I wanted this whole set because I wanted to do this video, a good video for people, so they could kind of understand what's all in there. But thank you very much for tuning in. I hope this was insightful to some extent. I know it was a little on the long side, but as I said, you know, the best toys are going to be the Gauss, the Ziggurar, and probably the Gamera, because the Gauss is such a traditional. It's so based on the original mold that you know, it's so badass anyway. You know, and then Ziggurar and Gamera they redid, and they did a very good job on the two toys. And the Gamera, hell, you could always get the reissue for dirt cheap if you're not anal like me and need to have the memorial box version. But for the quadrupeds, Barugon, I mean, they're all good toys. You know, maybe Virus the least good out of the bunch, kind of keep him in the back, hide him behind some other toys. But and all, but no, he's all right. But the whole box as a whole is very good and very much worth your time. But thank you again, guys, for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time.